I know what you all are asking. Why would I play Warner Brothers Multiversus over Super Smash Bros? Well, let's see. The platform fighting genre is pretty limited, as Smash is set an extremely high barrier of entry. Sony tried and failed with PlayStation ALLSTARS, and while rivals of Ether and Brawlhalla are active, their community is extremely small compared to Nintendo's giant. Recently, we had gotten Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, but it ultimately kind of fell off as it lacked polish and was little more than a Smash clone. So what makes Multiversus, also a celebration platform fighter with TV icons, any different? Well, to put it simply, it's just good. It feels good. It's a good game. I think the big draw for Super Smash Bros. Was its cast of characters, taking the fan favorites from various Nintendo and non-Nintendo IPs and putting them against each other. I think that if Smash was made with only original characters, then it wouldn't have gotten a game for each console, much less have been treated as a celebration within that console's life. And on top of that, it's an extremely fun casual fighting game with a lot of technical depth if you so choose to master it. People come for the characters and they stay for the gameplay. And Multiversus has the same character roster thing going on for it. Batman, Shaggy, Finn and Jake, Steven Universe, and recently even LeBron James, with Rick and Morty on the way. The characters are just going to bring people in, and by looking at the Steam charts, it is most definitely working. Now, I don't actually feel that this game was a Smash clone. Genre aside, I think that it's mostly its own game with many changes and design choices that I felt was a breath of fresh air. And the ones I want to highlight specifically are the art style, combat, character design, stages, and the online play. While none of these are perfect by any means, I do think that these are core things that set it apart from the competition, starting with the art style. Now, when I saw the trailer, I knew immediately that I was going to like this. While there is something special about seeing a highly detailed Death Dragon next to Flat Stanley and Toon Link, I do like the style that Multiversus has created here. Characters like Stark and Batman look quite natural next to more traditionally cartoon characters like Bugs and Finn. Plus, the rubber band animation style of the characters like Finn are done surprisingly well with 3D models, and I think it fits extremely well. And it is pretty entertaining to see Superman, the Man of Steel, getting beat up by some kid with a rusty sword, and it still looks natural. The one thing that I can immediately say about the combat is that it's floaty. Floaty in the sense that the game certainly encourages you to be in the air more and puts a bigger emphasis on dodging as there's no universal block or parry. This is so prevalent that it actually broke my severe crippling case of Little Mac syndrome, where I often limited my own moves to being planted on the ground no matter what character I was playing because of a fear of any aerial play, which stems from my main in Smash being, you guessed it, Little Mac. However, because of the much more floaty nature of the game, I did quickly learn to utilize short hops and overall be more offensive in the air, which is where the game really opened up in terms of combos. It also helps that recovery in this game is much less vertical than it is in Smash, as you have 2 jumps and a wall jump, so getting a ring out is less about letting your opponent fall and more so about forcing them out of bounds. So this game is one that rewards being aggressive no matter where you are on the stage, which really cuts down on the game of footsies to bait out your opponent, which could also be considered the neutral game. What also helps is that the time to kill in this game is, from what I noticed, actually quite long. Another thing I liked was the more universally used status effects for characters, specifically attack decay. When using a certain move too many times within a short time span, it'll basically gimp the attack to near uselessness to discourage spamming of easily spammable moves. This made fighting some of the more gimmicky zoner characters or characters with easily spammable moves much easier to fight. Overall, I just think that fighting this game is quite nice. I like the flow, and I think that even though there isn't any items, I think that the stages themselves actually interact quite well with the actual fighters themselves. Not to mention the fact that the game certainly seems to be balanced and made around the 2v2 duos mode, which, while I myself didn't play a whole lot of it, I certainly enjoyed my time with it, and it didn't feel like everyone is just in a cluster, just spamming moves to see what hits, and if you get a kill, you get a kill. I think that the characters specifically showcase just how much the designers care about this game. While I haven't played all of them myself, all of them are really well animated and have movesets that really feel like they're from that specific character. And I think the fact that a character like Vilma, who as far as I'm aware has no violent traits whatsoever, attacks using speech bubbles is a testimony to that fact. Even the back and forth banter they have with each other is so well done. In fact, I think the voice acting was perfect. And for the most part, I don't feel like I was hearing the same quips over and over again, so nothing ever got old. Characters are given a class and a type, classes being tank, bruiser, mage, etc., while type is either horizontal, vertical, or hybrid. With the classes, I do think that with the exception of the mages and the support, all of them feel like they fit into a more generalist area rather than a specification. And even though there's a small roster for now, I personally think that that's not really an issue, as more are being added, and I think that what we have is a good handful for now. Plus, with the perk system, there's a little bit of experimenting that you can do with different builds on different characters. However, I do think that you should have at least one full set of perks unlocked from the get-go, as it does feel a little bit unfair to have a level 1 character put up against a higher level character, and just because they're higher level, they're objectively more powerful than you, which I think creates a small gray area of whether or not this is actually fair. Currently, there is only one support character, and I think it might be important to say that it seems that they will be heavily built around having a teammate, so I do doubt that any support characters will be played in solos often. Now, I'm not really too much of a TV person, so a lot of the characters weren't really much as why I was drawn to the game. All of them are familiar to me, yes, but the only show I had actually actively watched is Adventure Time, and even though I've been told it's a war crime, I've kind of adopted Finn as my main. There aren't a lot of stages, but I do think what we have is nice. I do want to hold the Rick and Morty stage up on a pedestal though, not just because you're fighting on a giant stereo with floating heads spectating your brawl, but it's really because of the music accompanying it. It sounds so grandiose for a cartoon platform fighter, but I'm really digging it. Whoever is the one remixing this game really needs a raise. Also, fun fact, the music for each stage is dynamic depending on what happens, like if you're on your last stock. And for the big one, the online play. I think this is good because it actually functions. That's one up that this has over Smash 100%. I think that the poor online there was the reason why I never got super into Smash to begin with. Now, while I had an overall positive experience with online, it's certainly not perfect. Rollback netcode is nice and all, but it does force the avatars to teleport all over the place if someone doesn't have perfect internet. Another thing is double inputs, where sometimes the character does the same attack twice even though I only wanted it to do once. This seems to happen no matter how many bars I have. And also disconnects while trying to get into a match in the first place happen a little bit more often than I would like to though, but I will say that after I actually get into a match, I have almost no problems whatsoever. I do think that once you've found a match, there are too many screens before you actually get into the game. Why can't we just pick our perks when we're waiting for a match? I think for the most part, people just stick with the same thing anyway. And same for when you're rematching someone. Why boot you back to the character screen at all? I don't think I've actually played a single match where anyone actually changed what character they were playing as between matches, so I feel like this is just wasted time. But now to the positives, I think that cross-platform at launch was very important. I also like how the game seems to encourage rematches in duo games. Like I mentioned before, the game was clearly made with duos heavily in mind, and I had my fun with it. I also like the fact that after a match you can give toast to other players. Toast gives them a little bit of a gold boost. However, I don't think that toast should be the limited resource that it is now. I think that the characters being unlockable is a little bit annoying since it's kind of a cheap way to maybe monetize, but I don't think it's all too egregious since I've gotten gold fast enough to unlock characters at a somewhat normal rate. 10 hours in and I already had Finn, Jake, and LeBron unlocked, so I don't think that it's super tedious. Overall, I'm having a good time with this game. It's full of character and charm with pretty solid gameplay to back it all up. But now, back to the question that I asked at the beginning of the video. Why play Multiversus over Super Smash Bros., other than the IPs behind it? Well, because to me, Multiversus isn't trying to replace Smash. This game is to Smash what Mortal Kombat is to Street Fighter, or what Call of Duty is to Battlefield. They both might be platform fighters, but there is a totally different feel and flow to the game, and I think that's exactly what Player First games set out to do. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, then go ahead and like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what your main is and why, and I will see you all next time.